Hello and welcome to a short presentation for parents on how to help your students in this remote learning environment that we all find ourselves in. Now, your student might be a biology student, chemistry, physical science, physics, earth science. The functionality that I'm about to share with you applies to all of those core titles. Now, the first thing you want to do is ask your students, how do they access that biology program or chemistry program? It might be a username and password. Ask for that username and password. It may be a way that they go through the district site. So the first thing you want to do is find out how do they get to a page that looks like this. When they do, you can enter the program by clicking on the title, the book, or launch. It will all take you to the same location. I'm going to click on the title, Inspire Biology. When I do, I'll see a site that looks like this. This is their home screen page. We call this the dashboard. Okay, and once I'm in the dashboard, I can go into a location called the course view. Let me click on course view. In course view, you have a series of digital file folders. Now, if you click on this icon, you'll be able to see the digital table of contents that I'm referring to. Let me close all of these out. And here you'll see basically their whole book organized by unit, module, and lesson. So if I go into unit 2, the cell, I've got modules in unit 2. You might think of those as chapters if you'd like to. And if I go into module 7, I could break it down by lessons. So the first location I'm going to take you to is module level, module 7, cell structure and function. Each one of these locations will have a series of file folders. And so in module 7, cell structure and function, I've got 3 file folders here. Let me take you to learning resources. Now these are the core pieces for this module. I have an ebook here for my students. Your student's book might be on campus. Maybe the teacher only uses class sets and students don't take a book home. Here they have access to their book. Every module and lesson is supported with an ebook. This book can be read to students. They can highlight this page. Once they've highlighted, they can have this location read to them. They could make this a bookmark. There are all these different tools on this ebook. They have the book in Spanish as well. So if you need a Spanish book at home, you have one available to you. You have something called a reading essentials. Let me skip over to the one on the right. This is a lower level read of the textbook, 2 to 3 grade levels below the textbook itself. With opportunities for response and interaction in the margin. It's a more accessible version of the textbook. By accessible, I mean more readable. I have that same reading essentials in Spanish. So again, if you have Spanish speakers in your home and you want to help students learn remotely, you have resources to help them do that. There is a science notebook. Now, what is this? So if you're using the book or you're using the reading essentials in English or Spanish, you might want something to take notes with, to organize your information. This is a system called the Cornell System for Notes. Main idea on the left, keep it very clean. Indent and put the supporting details to the right. This can be printed out. I could download it on my desktop if I want to. I could print it out, and I could take notes as I read. Great activity to do remotely. I have a dynamic personalized learning tool called LearnSmart over here as well. Now, how is LearnSmart different? LearnSmart takes the content, but it also pairs it with dynamic assessment. So students are reading and they're being assessed continuously. And it's keeping track of what students know and what they don't know. So let's say we are in this topic, cell structure and function. I could read about this topic by clicking on this button that says read. And when I do, it'll take me into that book and I could read about this topic. Okay? I could flip through the pages by clicking on these arrows. I could make it larger or smaller by clicking over here. I could even hide these hyperlink to specific pages by clicking on this blue icon. And then at any time when it thinks that I'm ready for practice, when it says, hey, you've read enough, you're ready to be assessed, this little practice button will start blinking blue like you see here. And then they go to the practice phase, where here they have questions that ask them if they really understand the concepts. And if they have it, this button will start blinking and will say, hey, now it's time for you to read a little bit more. Time to go back to that. And you really don't even have to manage this because there is a coach that will appear and will tell students if they need to read more or if they're ready to practice. This is a tool that once students on it, it's deployed. They're ready to go. And it will manage itself and students get read and be assessed continuously. A great resource to do remotely. If I go into a specific lesson, let's say the plasma membrane, within that module, I have learning resources here. Here's that science notebook, Reading Essentials LearnSmart, but drilled down just for this specific lesson. So there aren't as many pages. Now there's only 3 pages. Before it was the whole module, but you may only need a lesson at a time. know that that's available to you. I've got my Learn Smart here available to me. And then in Explore and Explain, I've got these little chunks of information that I could dive into to help my student succeed remotely. It's called Explore and Explain. And when I dive into this chunk of information, I'm going to have a little bit to read. I'm going to have embedded assessments. I'll have some visuals that will help me to understand. There will even be some videos embedded within this experience. I happen to be in the check phase, but let me go back just a couple pages. And I have here content on the plasma membrane. I've got some icons here that I'll be able to manipulate and take a look at different locations within the structure. Take a look. I've got a plasma membrane here. I can click on this. It will tell me all about that and save it. I can go back to the next structure. I can go back to the home and take a look at this plasma membrane. Let's take a look at this location. What is this location? Oh, it's phospholipids. I've got a video here that I can watch. These are great resources. Each one of these tiles has different learning resources that you could use. Some content, some interactives, and some assessment. So when you're thinking about helping your students, find out how they access this program. Once you get into the program itself, I suggest you click on this title or the book or this launch button. And once there, go to the course location. And when you're in course, choose the unit, module, and lesson that you want to support your students at. You choose where you want to go, and you have resources available to you to help your students wherever they are in the McGraw-Hill High School program. If you have any questions on how we can help you succeed remotely, please feel free to reach out to your McGraw-Hill representative or to your student's teacher who can reach us, that we can all get through this, still stay engaged, still stay connected to the science, and very shortly we'll be back in our classroom and things will be back to normal. Feel free to reach out to us and help us help you help your students succeed with remote learning.